Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, we have a guest here today. I was going to say special guest, but then I realized you're not all that special. I'm just kidding. Today we have my brother Patrick. Say hi.
Hi.
And we are very big movie watchers. So we decided to do something together, which is why we're doing kind of a movie Tuesday type of thing. It's going to be a thing, okay? So today we decided we're going to rank Fast and Furious movies from our least favorite to our most favorite. And this doesn't take away from all the effort put into making these movies. It's just our personal opinion, which ones we like most, which ones we didn't. And we're just going to have a little discussion. Obviously, we differ on this because we're coming from different perspectives. So yes, I hope you guys enjoy this. So let's get started with our least favorite. So that's going to be number 8. And we'll start with you. What's your least favorite?
Well, I would say my least favorite one is number 4. Reason being, it's like almost it's a don't get me wrong. It's it's a good movie, but number 4 is kind of like number 1. It's just sort of recapping what like happened in number 1 and all that stuff.
Okay, that's reasonable. Mine is number 3, which is Tokyo Drift, and it's not for this or that. I like events happening in order. Okay, I like watching things in order, and number 3 was in the wrong place. So I think if the viewer at the time number 3 came out knew about the backstory that was behind number 3, the viewer would have enjoyed it much more, because knowing Han's story is like, whoa, okay, now you understand it. Watching it then it's like, wow. But when it came out at number 3, it's just like it didn't fit into the story for me before you knew what was actually going on. So that's why I said number 3. So yeah, let's go. Okay, so then our second least favorite, or whatever, it's going to be 7th on the list.
I would have to say number 1 would be my number 7. Reason being, it's you consider it's made in 2001, and it was like any other type of movie, any car racing movie had like the same story, and I just felt like there was nothing spectacular, but it was still very enjoyable and a new take on car racing and all that.
Well, surprisingly enough, I also said number 1 as number 7 for me. So we finally agree on something. Our parents would be so proud. Yes, I also just said number 1 because it's basically just the intro to the story. It's they haven't really found their feet yet in the movie that they're doing. Like, as the franchise continues, it gets a lot better. I just feel like number 1 it's the intro, it's the introduction to the characters. It's there's not really a lot happening for me in number 1. That's why I said number 1. So yeah, again, not really much behind that. So now we are number 6. What is your number 6?
Well, I said number 3. That's Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Drift was an interesting take on was a different take on cars. Instead of straight line racing, it was more about cornering and all that. So it's a more artistic way of driving. It's not necessarily the fastest way, but it's a nice artistic way of driving.
It looks cool.
And yeah, as she said, sums it up. Looks very cool when the smoke is just coming out of the tires and the cars, and it's just spectacular.
Just imagine how much they spend on tires.
Too much.
Okay, so for me, I said number 6 was number 2, like Too Fast, Too Furious. Yeah, just because you get number 1 and it's the introduction to these characters, and I get that Dom is on the run from the cops and everything, and then you get number 2 and you only get one of the original characters. It was weird. It was just a weird sequence. So if you think about a series, the pilot episode introduces you to the characters, kind of gives you a little backstory, and then the second episode kind of continues on that story. So I get that we're getting into Brian's backstory, but he's literally the only character from the original film, the first film that introduced you to the story, that's back. And I get the premise of the movie to introduce other characters that are in the later films, but it's the second movie you kind of expect to see more of the original characters, but it wasn't a bad movie. It once again, those are my reasons. So, yeah, where are we now? Number 5.
We are number 5.
Number 5. Okay, what is number 5?
Well, number 5 is not number 5 for me. It's number 6.
Okay.
I would say number 6. It was a more of a risky one. There's more action, and you've got a great star in Dwayne Johnson. You know, bringing some
a lot more stunts.
More stunts, yeah. And obviously a lot of muscle. You can't avoid that. Not just not as people, but also in the cars. And I must say the villain was quite a strong villain, and I felt that they had a good story there.
Yeah, I feel like number 6 was pretty cool. My number 5 is number 4, and I haven't watched number 4 as much as I've watched the other ones, because I've watched the other ones quite a lot. Number 4 I've watched once or twice. The reason it's like number 5 is because, okay, you get Dom is back and Lady died. It kind of starts forming a story, which is why I put it at number 5, because it starts telling the story. Okay, it's where the meat of the story starts. That gives rise to number 5, 6, 7, 8. That's like that meaty story. So that's why I think number 4 is pretty cool. And they kind of started focusing on the family aspect there. You know, the lengths Dom was willing to go to avenge Letty, to protect his sister. So yeah, that was kind of, it was more about the story for me than the cars. You can see he looks at the cars, I look at the story, but you know, cool cars still, I'm not going to deny that. I just don't know as much about them, so I kind of focus on the story. But yeah, so number 4 kind of started the meat of the story for me, but it was still like at the start. That's why it's not higher up on the list. Okay, so number 4.
Fourth on my list would be number 5. That was the reason being, now they brought all these characters together from number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it was just such a cool story. Like, it was the jokes, and the different types of talents for the different missions, and it was just so fun how to see how different people can work together, and without knowing each other can actually start forming a family. And I must say that's definitely one of my top 5. So number 5 is my number 4.
Yeah, that's not confusing at all. Okay, but I think you get what's going on.
Sorry about that.
So number 4 for me, and this might be a little shocking, is actually number 7, which I thought number 7 would be higher on my list, but you know, I ranked them on the scale of how many times have I watched them. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Jason Statham fan. Okay, he's one of my favorite actors, and I know he's in number 7. But it's once again, it's a brilliant movie, and Jason Statham brings in this other component to the movie. You know, the secrets and the spies, which is pretty cool. You know, but yeah, it was awesome, which is why it's number 4. It wasn't the one that I would watch repeatedly on a loop. You know, I'd watch it if it's on, but it's not like I would. Yeah. Okay. So number 7 is my number 4. I didn't give a good explanation for that, but there you go. Okay. So now we are entering the top 3. Okay. So you can kind of from listening to the previous ones recognize which ones are in our top 3s. So this is gonna get pretty exciting. So number 3, sir.
Number 3, my top 3. Starting off, my top 3 is the second one, Too Fast, Too Furious. They play the name is sort of, it's cool in a way how they phrase it, Too Fast, Too Furious, yeah. And that was they introduced a character called Tyrese Gibson, and it was a.
Well, the actor is Tyrese Gibson.
One of the actors.
He's hilarious.
The actor is Tyrese Gibson, and teaming up with Paul Walker was such an interesting movie, and they teamed up. It's like 2 old mates that sort of fight and now have to come together to fight a villain, and they came out on the top. They came out on top in the end. So that was the reason why it's number 3 for me.
Yeah, and they have really good chemistry on the screen. I think the jokes kind of flow naturally
Definitely,
with him.
I think
you
don't even have to try.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree Tyrese Gibson in Fast and Furious franchise, hilarious.
Joker.
Hilarious. Okay. For me, number 3. Okay, so my third favorite is Fast and Furious 5, or Fast 5 as. And once again, like when he explained number 5, it's when they start introducing all of the characters into one movie. They bring in The Rock, they bring in all the older characters from the other movies, and they start kind of forming this. And the variety, like you mentioned, like everyone has a different skill set. Like the girl is really good on bikes and she's really good with weapons, and Mia is sort of playing the computer analyst person, and the drivers and the guys who break into the police office. Everyone has these different skill sets, and when put together they make a really good team. So number 5 definitely has to be in my top 3, because all of these characters kind of come together and just they do their thing. They steal a lot of money. Well, is it stealing if it's already stolen?
Good question.
You can kind of figure that one out for yourself. So that's why number 5, they bring in all these cool characters, and the really good stories start happening from number 5. Okay, so time for number 2, sir.
Okay, the first and second spot was quite a tricky choice for me, because these are 2 very good movies. I can actually watch them over and over. But I would say number 2 would be number 8 from 8,
Fates of the Furious.
Fates of the Furious. It's definitely a lot of stunts, and it's quite a good build-up on number 7. And this first time I heard first time Lamborghini was ever on ice. So that was quite hilarious for them to drive it. And when the one comedy moment in the movie was where Roman was driving in a orange Lamborghini, bright orange, let me remind you, and they was asking why they all shooting at him, and it's like sort of you answered your own question.
You are the orange Lamborghini. It's like you can't really hide that one.
Yeah, and there was a lot of comedy, and Dom was also he turned his back on them, and it was their turn to not give up on him, and in the end they came back to him, and they never gave up on him, and just a true vision of how our family should be.
Yeah, that's pretty good. The second one for me, so my number 2 is number 6. Because Letty's back, and you gotta love a strong female character. Yay! Anyway, number 6 was pretty cool. I liked that they kind of traveled. They like he mentioned with number 8 with the family, is they had everything. Okay, from number 5 they had everything. They had settled down. They were not getting arrested, but because Letty is family, they decided to risk it all again and save family. So that's a pretty cool message. I think the messaging is pretty cool, and the innovation, like those cars that they hit and then they flip all around, just driving through the streets, it's pretty cool. I think the stunts in that one, and also the villain, Owen Shaw. He does a really good villain. He plays the character pretty well, I have to say. And it's he's not like that big, strong guy, but he's intense, which it just creates this villain that you're like, okay, chill. So number 6 definitely has to be number 2 for me. It was fabulous, and let's not forget they shot down a plane on the longest runway on planet Earth. You can't forget that one. Okay, so it is time for our top picks, which you can probably already guess, but we're gonna talk about them anyway, because why not? So, if you will, what is your favorite Fast and Furious movie?
Well, that honor goes to number 7. For obvious reasons. It's a quite emotional movie. That's a movie where Paul Walker, in the middle of filming, he tragically died. But
that's sad. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but that song it gets me every time I watch that movie.
you cannot just, you have to shed a tear there. It just hits you on that certain spot. But it's a big villain. They travel all over the world. It's a big villain. The big bad brother is introduced now, and he's more ruthless than the younger brother. And it's more about family, as in any Fast and Furious film. It's about family, and the fact that they went back to their hometown, they sort of used that to, how do you say it, how to defeat the evil guys, because they knew that's one place they knew their way around it, inside and out. So, and just for everything that the filmmakers went through, and all with that emotional thing that happened, they still finished the film and made it a good film. It was one of the top grossing films, and I must say that's the reason why that's number one for me.
And Jason Statham.
Okay,
so my number one pick, as you probably have guessed, is number 8, which is literally the film in the franchise that I've watched the most. I watch it way too much that it's starting to get unhealthy.
There's no such thing as too much when it comes to Fast and Furious.
But the reason I really like it is because Jason Statham steps out of the villain role and sort of into the hero role. Not really a hero, he's just there for his brother in the sense. And he did kind of break out of prison, so where else was he going to go? And yes, number 8 really it brought in a lot of different aspects. It brought in the cyber world, because you see a lot of action movies where it's we're physically fighting, we're physically getting into it, where this one is okay, everything is happening in cyberspace, everything is, and then also the aspect of now you have to kind of fight your family, because Dom is the villain. Okay, we know Cypher is the bigger villain, but he is the one they're fighting against, and that was a really great twist, I think, to put in a movie, where how do you defeat the guy that brought you all together, in a sense. And I just think all the characters play really well together. And who can forget the iconic Jason Statham fighting people on a plane while trying to protect the baby? I mean, that was literally the cutest thing on planet Earth.
Such a big guy and such a small baby.
It was so cute. Okay, so you cannot say
that's a manly moment.
Yes, definitely. Okay, definitely. Yeah, and just the ending where they're all a family and he names his son Brian. I mean, that was a beautiful moment for me as well. So that is why I picked number 8. Okay, no big explanation for that. So that was our ranking of the Fast and Furious movies. Okay, I think it was fun. We are going to do this every Tuesday. Hopefully, we're going to do Movie Tuesday on my channel, maybe even a series Tuesday, but series are going to take way too damn long. Like, he's wearing a Game of Thrones t-shirt, so that's why I thought about series. Maybe we can do a Game of Thrones thing. I know some people are still a bit, processing the finals, but it's too soon. Okay, so maybe we'll talk about that. We're definitely going to be doing more movie, maybe reviews, maybe ranking our favorite movies every single Tuesday, so don't miss it. Subscribe so that you can know when they go up. Also, I will be hopefully uploading other videos as well, but I pulled Brother Bear in here to do movies with me on Tuesdays because he watches a lot of movies. He has a very extensive DVD collection, but that's a story for another day. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, do your thing, and we will see you again next week.